Atlanta News First Sports Tonight. Special guest tonight, Josh Morgan, our managing editor here at Atlanta News First. Sports fan, Michigan State fan.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And native Michigander.
You betcha.
All righty, so here
Hoosiers
we go.
And Spartans, Freddie.
Go for the Spartans. Sparty. That's right. I remember when Kirk Gibson played there, but that's a whole nother talk show. Let's get on to this now, all right? Let's talk about the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on it, right? Philly loses a tough one.
It was a great football game. I mean, as somebody that doesn't have one of their two teams in it, all you hope for is a football game that you can enjoy. High energy, great offense up and down the field throughout the night. Some drama with Patrick Mahomes' ankle again. Jalen Hurts playing a great football game, was a guaranteed MVP if the Eagles won. Just an all-around great football game, a great Super Bowl, marred at the end by one call. We can talk more about that, Fred. I don't know. I love good football. We had the two best teams in the NFL. I think that was clear last night. There was a lot of questions in that last call. What was clear, we had the two best football teams in the NFL. You had both number one seeds. I think we saw the two best teams fight it out for a Super Bowl last night.
You know, as for the call, I think they kind of had it reversed in that in the first half they called it, and in the second half they didn't.
Right.
Usually, maybe they're letting them play down the stretch. I don't know, but that was usually when you've got a guy, if you're playing defense and you hook a guy on the waist, if you've got your hand above his butt or around his waist, they're usually going to call you for that because that's the no-no, because then you've got control of not his movement, but his positioning. So
that's right. And, they talked about it after the game.
Sure.
Admitted that, hey, I held him. I was just hoping they'd let it go. But what you're dealing with in that game it was actually quite clean. I remember the folks I was watching the game with last night sitting here saying, this is kind of a quiet game for the refs. They're letting them play, not a lot of flags.
Right.
Not a lot of action from the refs, which is what you want in a Super Bowl. And then one play, they've been letting them play all night, and you get a little hook with the game on the line, and you throw the flag. I think that's the big issue, not whether it was a flag or not.
Right.
If you want to go by the letter of the law.
The timing.
Right. The letter of the law says it's a foul. But if you're not going to call the foul in the second quarter, are you going to call it when it's literally the Super Bowl on the line? The game's over with that first down. There's no more timeouts. They center the ball. They do what they want, and the game's over. I don't know that you can make that call there. It's not to say the Chiefs still don't win the Super Bowl if that call is not made. But, boy, it's probably a little bit different of a game without that call. So I think that's my biggest issue with it, not whether it was a foul or not. It was a foul, but should have been called then if it wasn't called early in the game. I think that's where I land.
But Jalen Hurts, no doubt, man, he was on track for the MVP. I mean, threw for over 300 yards. I mean, he accounted for 4 touchdowns. I mean, it was an unbelievable effort by Jalen Hurts. And, I always say there's a guy that has been underappreciated most of his career, all the way from Alabama up through the National Football League. And here's a guy, as you said, would have been the MVP had the Eagles been able to pull it off. I mean, just an incredible effort from Jalen Hurts. But overall, a fun Super Bowl to watch. I mean, I'm not a guy that pays attention to the commercials. I'm sorry I didn't watch Rihanna at halftime. If you did, tell us how you liked it. Did you like it?
Oh, I mean, how do you not like Rihanna? I mean, it was just hit after hit.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get away from football for a second. Every song that came up, it was like, oh, yeah, that's a Rihanna song. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was hit after hit after hit, and everybody said, oh, is Jay-Z going to come out? Is Eminem going to come out? Who's going to come out? Well, you didn't need anybody to come out. She was handling it on her own. And by the way, pregnant as well, out there jamming. Just an impressive performance. So it was an impressive performance throughout the night. Great football, great halftime show, and 2 really dang good quarterbacks.
And speaking of that, Patrick Mahomes didn't throw for a lot of yards, but he did make a lot of plays and did make big plays down the stretch. So where does he rank, you think, all time, Patrick Mahomes?
Who knows? It's so hard with the eras, right? I mean, you from the Montanas and the Elways to Dan Marino, who never won a Super Bowl but had a rocket for an arm. Terry Bradshaw won 4. Yeah, what's the ladder? What do you base it off of? I think the better question is, would he, if he retired today, be in the Hall of Fame? And I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and 2 regular season MVPs. There's not a lot of quarterbacks over the course of however many year career can say that. And so is Patrick Mahomes in the Hall of Fame if he retired today? Yes, I think he is. And I think when it's all said and done, if he can continue to stay healthy and put up these kind of numbers, there's no question he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. Now we're talking, is he going to be a top 3 quarterback? We know who the top 1 quarterback is, and even as a Michigan State guy, I can admit who the top one is.
Yes.
But
the guy that was
who's number 2, who's number 3? I think if Mahomes continues down this track, there's no question he could end up being a top 3 quarterback of all time. What do you think, Freddie?
Well, I think so too. And here's the thing with Mahomes, you know, I'm not a big stats guy, but I just kind of watch his motions, watch how, I mean, the guy has got a cannon.
Yeah.
He throws off balance. He throws different arm angles. He can shoot one down the field and, you know, to Kelsey and just be on like it's on a rope. And he played through pain. I mean, a high ankle sprain is no joke.
No joke.
And, you know, and to get it taped up and to go down and then go back, get some treatment and come back in and, you know, try to throw off of his back foot, his back leg, and still able to do that. I mean, obviously his dad was an unbelievable baseball player, major leaguer, so you know he's got a cannon and he got it, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's what, to me, is what he does, is the way he you know, can move the pocket. So as a defense, when you got a guy that breaks contain, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? Where is everybody?
Right.
What do we got to do? You know, so it changes your coverage, it changes everything that you're doing. And I think that's why, you know, I enjoy watching him so much, is because of his.
There's no question. I mean, just the high ankle sprain, right? I mean, he kind of got a 3-yard gain there. You know, when he re-injured the ankle, and there was all this talk leading up to the Super Bowl of, oh, he's had 2 weeks, he'll be fine. I don't think anybody that said that has ever had a high ankle sprain and plays in the NFL.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You're not just fine after 2 weeks in the NFL after a 17-game season and playoffs, and then you get a high ankle sprain. You're not just fine after 2 weeks, and now you got to come in against a nasty defense, a fast defense, a big defense, and perform at the highest level. He wasn't right. Then he got tackled. Then he definitely wasn't right, and then he came out and dominated the second half.
He did.
Absolutely dominated. He had a little bit of help on the ground, but my gosh, that performance. If you ever wanted to question his games in the Super Bowl, you know, he hadn't played great in his last 2 Super Bowls, even though they won one of them, and he didn't have huge numbers last night, but he's the reason they won the football
he didn't have
game.
huge numbers, you're right, but he is the reason. There's no doubt about that. That's a very good point. Now, Jalen Hurts, you know, I want to give him a little bit more love. 27 of 38 for 304 yards. He accounted for 4 touchdowns, right? 1 passing, 3 running, got that 2-point conversion. I mean, there's a guy whose performance just goes kind of under the radar because they lost the game, but I mean, this guy, he's kind of done it all his career, though. I mean, those of us that have seen him come up through Alabama and everything, I mean, he just, you know, he was replaced, and then he had to come back in and save Alabama, you know, when Tua got hurt. I mean, just talk about that. What are your thoughts when you watch Jalen Hurts?
I think he's kind of always been doubted. I mean, he was the guy at Alabama until he wasn't, until Tua, you know, took his job. Then he came back and, like you said, saved Alabama when Tua went down. Then he went to Oklahoma and almost won a Heisman Trophy there. And then he came to the NFL kind of, is he going to be the guy? Does he have the full game? There's no more questions. He's got all the game. He had a bum shoulder last night. The only time you knew he had a bum shoulder was on that last attempt at a Hail Mary that didn't seem to come out right. But other than that, the 2 balls he threw to Dallas Goedert on long 3rd downs.
Yeah, those were.
That only they were the 2 best throws of the night, and they didn't win. But I mean, he was incredible. He's great with his legs, 70 yards on the ground. He's unstoppable on 3rd and 4th and 1. You can't stop that QB sneak. He is a weapon, and there's no more flying under the radar for Jalen Hurts. It's official. He's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem for a long time. And he was, honestly, I know you got to give the MVP to the winning team, but Jalen Hurts was the MVP last night.
Yeah, he was. There's no doubt. But like you said, his team didn't win, so he couldn't be.
Right.
Spring training. Josh, spring
here
training just
already?
right up. Yep.
We're moving
ready
to baseball
go
just
this
like
week,
that.
man. We're going to have the pitchers and catchers down there at Northport in spring training. The Braves going for another division title. I guess the big thing is this year. I mean, the Braves have had to replace people, you know, stars throughout this last run. So who's going to replace Dansby Swanson? Orlando Arcia will be right there, but you know, Vaughn Grissom. You know, he came in and played second base when Ozzie got hurt last year. You know, he's tall, he's got the range. I think he could be a good shortstop. So I think that's, you know, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Shortstop. Who replaces Dansby Swanson? I think it's Orlando Arcia, probably Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are 2 good options. I think Vaughn Grissom is an exciting option. Just watching him get the run that he did last year in the big leagues was a huge opportunity for him to show himself. And he just looks the part, right? He's got all the tools to be a big-time player on this team, on a team that's full of big-time players. So, you know, it's a team that's stacked. It's a team that's set for a number of years with all those contracts they've been able to put together over the last couple of years. That breaking into this lineup, the only way you were going to break into this lineup is if somebody left, like Dansby Swanson did. And so I think there's a huge opportunity here to get onto, to get into that lineup, to solidify yourself in that lineup. And my goodness, I mean, we've talked about it. This team is going to make runs year after year after year. But that's an important part of it and an important player that left that team. But we watched them lose Freddie Freeman last year and still find a way to be strong and still find a way to score a lot of runs and be a great defensive team. So it's a key spot, but I don't think, given the Braves' success, their depth, all that they've got, that this is a make or break type of situation. They need somebody to come in and be good. They don't need somebody to come in and be Dansby Swanson.
Well, here's the thing: the Braves have always done it with pitching, and they've got it again, man. I mean, you've got Soroka and Ian Anderson. They're going to battle for that final spot in the rotation. But the rotation again: Charlie Morton, Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Kyle Wright. I mean, those are four guys. And, when you've got a rotation like that, you're never going to have a losing streak.
No.
And you got guys fighting it out for the fifth spot that are really good as well. I mean,
those guys will be starting on other
right. Soroka, Ian Anderson,
question.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, but, Soroka's been battling injuries. But, I mean, Ian Anderson is a guy who, showed up in the playoffs and played well. So, I mean, I think that's the key for the Braves. It always has been, is that pitching staff. And I think that, again, will likely carry them as they go for another division championship and maybe even more.
How do you not like just the whole makeup of this squad? I mean, when you've got those two guys battling for a fifth spot in the rotation, which means one of them is not in the rotation, that is what we call a good problem.
Yeah.
And so a guy goes down and does long relief. Whoever doesn't make that, get that fifth spot or fills in for injury, those guys are going to go on the, the injured list throughout the season. What a great problem for the Braves to have. They're stacked. They're stacked, and they're stacked with a bunch of stars, not a lot of superstars, but what a great, great makeup. It's hard to already be talking baseball, but if you're a Braves fan, it's a little bit easier to talk about baseball.
Yeah.
When you've got this kind of a ball club coming back, no reason they can't win the NL East again, no reason they can't make a deep run and compete to head back to a World Series.
All right, well, we're in the South, Josh, so we can talk football 24/7, 365. We just talked about the Super Bowl.
Yep.
The Falcons, we talk about the favorites to get back. The Falcons are the 28th favorite to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, when are they going to get this thing turned? I mean, they've got to turn it sooner or later to be consistent where it was, at the beginning with Mike Smith and then at the beginning with Dan Quinn, and then it just kind of
you got to keep building through the draft. You got to keep getting these key pieces that can be there for a while that you can start building. This isn't going to be an overnight thing. They're not a significant free agent destination. They don't have a quarterback. I don't know that. We'll see. We'll see when Desmond Ridder gets some actual reps, some actual time to take all the first team reps if he's a guy that they can trust for the future. But they're going to start having to build piece by piece through the draft. And that takes time. It takes patience from a fan base. But I think they played some better football this year than was expected. Not I think. They certainly played better football. They were more competitive. It fell off at the end of the year, there's no question. And they were in a division that kept teams a little more relevant a little bit longer. But there's no reason that piece by piece, you don't need a lot of superstars in the NFL necessarily. You need guys that can play. You need depth. You got guys that can come off the bench, that can play, 13, 14 deep on each side that can be playmakers on whatever side of the ball they're on. So I think you've got a team that can continue to fly under the radar, that continue to play good, strong football and mimic their coach. And you never know. I mean, talk about a division that is going to be wide open.
Wide open, yeah, once again,
Tom
no
Brady
doubt.
is gone.
Yeah.
So do you have to win 13 games? You do not. Can you win 9 and go to the playoffs? You can. Can that be a success? Yes. Can that be a building block to continue to grow a franchise? It certainly can. The NFL is beautiful. The NFL, you can be down one year and in the playoffs the next. Their schedule is not going to be as difficult.
That's what it is. The schedule.
That's right.
That's how they even up the playing field.
They do it better than most leagues do.
Oh yeah.
And so yes, it was a bit ugly at times this year. They need to find a quarterback. It's a quarterback league. We saw it last night. If you don't have a good quarterback, but you can build on a defense. And you can build with a serviceable quarterback if that's the play here. So let's see where they go in the draft. There's a lot of holes. This is not a gaping hole where they got to fill this position. They need a lot of positions. But I'm excited to to see how they stack this up. Let's not give up on the Falcons yet. The NFL, things turn very quickly.
Well, you know what? Look at the guys in the Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah.
What do both those teams have?
Yeah.
Dominant offensive lines, man. I mean, they have offensive. And I mean, I know that sounds.
There was
like
no pressure last night.
I'm the old man. I mean, but that's it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
boom, they do what they want.
Yeah.
And if you've got an offensive line, you do what you want on offense.
Yeah.
And the Falcons are starting to build that. You know, they've got some pieces. You know, they still need a couple more, but they're starting to at least build through the offensive line. And if they have that, and if the offensive line can come together, life will get better.
Yeah, it was.
The Atlanta
I mean,
Falcons.
you didn't see a sack last night, right? I mean, incredible, right? And both those quarterbacks, the way you get them is you get pressure up the middle on both of them. It didn't happen last night because those offensive lines were dominant on both sides of the ball. So it was an impressive thing. And yes, you build that offensive line, you can have a quarterback that isn't a superstar back there.
Right.
Be nice to have both.
It would be nice to have both. What else is on your mind tonight, Josh? What else is?
I mean, if we're going to
into?
start talking baseball, then I want to start talking golf.
Okay,
because maybe the most fun tournament of the year over the weekend, the Waste Management.
Oh, the
in
Phoenix Open.
Oh,
Are
my
you kidding
goodness.
me? Yeah.
What a
I used
tournament.
to live out there.
And I think it was 8 of the 9. We had 8 guys in the top 9 that were in the top 20 of the official World Golf Rankings yesterday. So 8 of the top 9 were in the top 20. I mean, you had superstar after superstar after superstar. Scotty Scheffler now number 1 in the world. We saw Scheffler lose that number 1 in the world to Rory at the Tour Championship here in Atlanta at the end of last season. And Scheffler takes it back this week. John Rahm playing as good a golf as anybody in the world. Obviously, you still have Rory. Ricky Fowler making a comeback.
Ricky Fowler was
had
right
a
there. He
hole
was
in one
right-
yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
not
I
on
mean,
16, but a
not
hole
on
in
16.
one. I don't think he's complaining about where the hole in one was.
No, it doesn't matter.
No, and Jordan Spieth was in contention over the weekend. I mean, if you're going to get, and there's these elevated events now that PGA Tour is having to respond to live, right?
Golf, right? Yeah.
And they're trying. They've got to get these elevated events, make the purses bigger. I think Scotty won $3.6 million yesterday just for winning the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So that's
won the Phoenix Open, and that's the thing too. That's one of the more fun golf tournaments too. If you're a fan,
no question.
On 16, it's like a football stadium, and it sounds like a football stadium if you were there. And I can remember playing in the Pro-Am one year, and you talk about teeing off on number 1, and you've got like a football stadium. You're looking at all these people. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I don't hit anybody.
Can you imagine standing up there, Fred?
I hope I don't hit anybody.
Yeah, right. What am I going to do?
And that's
16.
I got out a 3-iron and teed it up and just hit straight, about 100 yards. Thank you very much. But and I think that if the PGA can make more tournaments like the Phoenix Open, make them fun, make them fan friendly like that, get the fans out. I think that'll make the game more popular and make the game on our side, more in the PGA Tour side, I should say.
I think Liv forced their hand a little bit, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, they said, we're going to take some. You got to elevate these, or guys are going to go and follow the money. And they said, it's fine. Let's elevate several events throughout the year, and let's pay some big dollar amounts. Let's make them a complete. You've got most of the top 50 players in the world out there this past weekend, and now next weekend we get Tiger back at Riv. So, I think it's a great, this first part of the golf season is the best part of the golf season. The beginning of the season at Kapalua all the way through the Masters is the best run of golf that you're going to see all year. Huge events and culminating in Augusta. We're less than 2 weeks out, less than 2 months out. And we're less than 2 weeks out. Maybe the last topic tonight, Fred, March Madness.
Yeah, March Madness. All right, let's make that the last topic.
Okay.
Let's talk March Madness because it's always fun. I'm from Indiana. Of course, you're from Michigan, so we've both seen teams run to the Final Four, win national championships. And to me, what makes that tournament so fun, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's not always the 68 or the whatever best teams.
No.
You got teams that'll sneak in, and it kind of gives you the Cinderella story. Like Butler. I mean, they deserve to go in. I don't mean that when they went to the national championship game, but you see teams that you haven't seen in a while, like a Butler, the Bulldogs, making that run all the way to the national championship game, and Gordon Hayward hitting that back of the rim.
Almost.
For the game winner. What would that have done for college basketball?
The greatest finish ever would have been, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but the basketball, the March Madness is great. college basketball is great. Like I said, but you and I, of course,
Oh, yeah.
have seen some of the best.
We have.
You more recently than me, but
Yeah, but now your Hoosiers look good.
They
Watched
do.
them again, against Michigan, not Michigan State, but against Michigan over the weekend, and looked dead to rights, and came back, won a good game. They just beat Purdue, who was the #1 team in the nation.
Right. That was
They
big.
look good. I saw after the Michigan State-Ohio State game yesterday, one of the analysts had Indiana all the way up on the 2 line. They've
Wow.
been red hot. So the two teams in Indiana, between Purdue and the Hoosiers, there's some good ball being played in the Hoosier State, as where basketball was born.
well, Michigan too, though. I mean, Michigan State.
Yep.
They can be right back in there.
They,
Obviously,
they're a good senior-laden team, which doesn't happen a lot in college basketball this
Right.
year, but usually they find ways to win against younger teams and teams that aren't quite as good or equally as good because they've just got some older guys. So I'm excited. It's the best time of the year if you're if you're from Indiana or you're from Michigan. While football is king down here,
Yeah.
for us, college basketball season, the March Madness is the best tournament in the world. And we get to watch it every year. It's right here on Atlanta News First every year. We've got the Final Four because it has been going TBS,
Right.
TNT.
It's back.
It's back on CBS. It's back on Atlanta News First.
Right, and that's big.
And so we've got the Final Four and the National Championship back on CBS this year, which is a great. And so I can't wait. I think it's 5 or 6 regular season games for most
Yeah.
teams across the country.
Right.
Then we're into conference tournaments, and then it's go time. So we're right here. We're ready.
I mean, I think it's the best show. If you've ever been to a Final Four, I think that's the best weekend in sports.
I have.
I mean, regardless of
It's so
regardless
good.
of the sport. I mean, it's the best weekend in sports because you've got those 2 games on Saturday,
Those
the
2
championship
games.
game on Monday. I mean, Saturday's a great day. I mean,
Saturday's
Saturday at the
so
Final
good.
Four is the best. To
I
me.
agree. No, I've been to a couple as a fan and a couple covering them, but my gosh, that's Saturday. You sit down, you settle in for that first game knowing you got 4 of the best teams in the country, 2 back-to-back games on the national stage. I don't know, Fred, that, there's Super Bowl Sunday, there's Masters Sunday, there's some big days, there's, out there in sports, but that Saturday of the Final Four, it's tough to beat. I don't know how many I would put ahead of it.
I mean that's always fun, and it's always fun. Like you said, you've been there in person.
Yep.
Final Four in person. We've had them here in Atlanta.
Yep.
We had some great games in Atlanta. We saw Florida win one here.
Yep.
I mean, it's just been outstanding, really, and that is the best weekend in sports.
Now,
for
Fred,
my
I got
money.
one question for you.
Yep.
Which college program, has multiple hockey national championships, multiple basketball championships, and multiple football national championships? There's only one program in the country that's done that.
Let me see. Watching the old college hockey at the ACC at Notre Dame, I'd have to say that might have to be Michigan State.
I think you're exactly right. It is
Yeah.
Michigan State. I just had to end with that. I don't know
Yeah.
how much I'm going to be on with you, Fred, so I had to drop
Yeah,
that little,
well, no.
that
You know
little
what?
note in there.
You know what's funny is like if you go to Notre Dame, if you've ever seen Notre Dame, they've got the Athletic and Convocation Center. It's like 2 domes, and they're not very big. Okay, I mean,
Yep.
which 11,000 is
Yep.
enough for Notre Dame basketball. That's
Oh,
all
yeah.
I need.
That's a cool spot to watch a
It
game.
is,
I've
yeah.
been there. Yeah.
I mean, you're really close.
Yep.
And then in the other dome, okay, you've got track and field, and you've
Yep.
got a hockey rink.
Yep.
So they've had college hockey in that nice arena for
Yep.
a long, long time. Lefty Smith for years. So I've seen Michigan State play college hockey
Oh, yeah.
at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And so that Western Collegiate Hockey Association has always been big.
Yeah.
And Michigan State's always been one of the top programs, no doubt about it. So, yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Well, Josh, we've had a lot of fun, man, talking sports here. Come on
Likewise.
anytime you like.
You bet. I will, Fred.
All right. Well, we'll see you back here tomorrow, 6:30 on Atlanta News First, atlantanewsfirst.com, here on Sports Tonight. Thanks.